Oh. You're here early. Earlier than I expected. Hi guys, I bet you're surprised to see me alive. Did you miss me? I hope you missed me. I am back. And I'm human now. I'm finally free from the void. Anyways, so I bet you're wondering why I'm sitting here and staring at you. Well, today we're gonna be talking about Happy Tree Friends, specifically Flippy's altar, you know, the one who runs around and causes massacres and ruins lives and has probably, I think, the second highest kill count in the entire series. Yeah, that guy. So, first things first, I'm going to be addressing this guy's name as Flick. You know, like flicking a light switch. The reason for this is because, so, I don't think that Mondo Media was really trying to think of a way to pronounce the name because they don't say each other's names in the show. But, I mean, for us, people, how are we supposed to pronounce F-L-I-Q-P-Y, right? So I started thinking of the way the French pronounce things. Okay, I know, the French suck, but hear me out. With names like Jacques, they take the Q and the U and the E, chop them off, and replace it with a CK sound. And so, take the Q, the P, and the Y, chop them off, make a CK sound, and you have Flick. So, I'm going to be calling him Flick from here on out. And frankly, I think that's what everybody should call him because it's the only pronunciation that really makes sense to me. It turns out the French can be useful. So I'm going to be cutting this video up into two parts, actually. The first part is going to be defending Flick because, you know, the whole thing that I do is defend characters, or villains. And the second part is going to be talking about fandom culture, the reception that the fandom had to the character, and specifically the ship culture surrounding Flick, and by extension, Flippy. I do have to warn you guys preemptively that most of my knowledge on the Happy Tree Friends fandom is coming from a place of about 2016, sometime in the early to mid 2010s, I would say. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so I was in that fandom whenever I was younger, which was around that time, and there isn't that much of a Happy Tree Friends fandom today, at least not that much of an active one. There definitely is a demographic, a small demographic of people who are still active in the fandom and who still make fandom content of it. However, most of my knowledge is going to be coming from a place where it was the most active, which is, of course, in the 2010s. So these beliefs may or may not be outdated, specifically in the fandom reception section of the video, and in that case, my bad. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh! I was gone for 3 years. This is awkward. I think I'm not going to explain where I was and what happened to me in these 3 years, and I'm just going to keep walking in and out of your lives like a house cat with a second family, okay? Okay. So, with all that out of the way, what is that?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
So, to understand who Flick is, you first have to understand who Flippy is. Flippy is this guy. He is a war veteran with severe PTSD, I don't know if severe is the right word, severe DID, and a lot of trauma from being in the military. If you want to know more, I would suggest just watching the Operation Tiger Bomb episode of Happy Tree Friends' mini Kapow series. It's a great episode, and it really goes into a lot regarding how Flick came to be and his, reason for existing in Flippy's brain, really. And Flippy's collect-em-all card, so let me explain that. They all have these little cards, not physical cards, but digital cards, at least I don't think they're physical. Every single character in Happy Tree Friends has one, my hands, and they have their physical attributes and a little fun fact about them. And Flippy's reads, "This emotionally tattered war veteran will warm your home and leave no witnesses." Which, in my opinion, that implies a lot of culpability on Flippy's part, which I just don't think is entirely fair. I mean, it's Flick who does these things, and Flick, at least from the middle to later episodes where Flippy appears, is a completely separate person, and in Kapow, Operation Tiger Bomb is confirmed to be a completely separate person, so I just don't think it's fair to say that about Flippy, but they also don't have a separate collect-em-all card for Flick, so I guess it works. I don't know. I decided to move myself backwards. So, Flippy was first introduced around May 26th of 2000 with the episode Hide and Seek. This was a few months after, I think it was Christmas Eve of 1999, when the first episode ever of Happy Tree Friends' Spin Fun Knowin' Ya first aired. Flippy, even in his early appearances, was a very sweet and relatively docile person, and he has continued to be that way for the entirety of his existence. Flick, on the other hand, isn't. From the beginning, he was a very ruthless, aggressive, violent, and honestly kind of feral character. Not in like the, oh my god, I'm such a crackhead, I just hopped a fence way, but in the way of, he is the only character, I believe, in the show who has never spoken other than Cub. He just makes these animalistic, growling, snarling, whatever noises. And yeah, he's never talked. If I can remember correctly, he has never once talked. He also laughs a lot, but even his laughter is extremely animalistic. So it is safe to say that he's got a couple screws loose. Flick was created, I guess I'll go into the backstory. So Flick was created during an event in Flippy's life where he was in the military. He was active on the field against this army called the Tiger Army. And he had these two best friends, Sneaky and Mouse Kaboom. Side note, I love that name so much. No notes. Perfect. Best name I think has ever been created. And during a mission one day, Flippy accidentally killed his two friends. He did not intend to at all. It was a complete accident. It was a series of unfortunate events. I've never seen that show. That took place and caused their deaths. And the Tiger Army advanced on Flippy. I'm talking about this so seriously, like he's a fictional bear, it's not that deep. Anyways, what was I saying? Right, okay. The Tiger Army advanced on Flippy, and he had no choice but to hide in the body, the dead body, of one of his friends. Specifically, I think it was Sneaky. And that led to Flick's creation. As he was laying in his dead body, in his friend's dead body, he switched for the first time and became Flick. And it is in this video, this episode, that it is revealed that Flick is a completely separate person, because they show each character's name as the character shows up, and whenever Flick pops up near the end of the episode, they show his name, which at least I believe is confirming that Flick is a completely separate person. So yeah, that's the deal here, that's the backstory, that's the content, and now we're going to get into the thing that everybody watches me for, the defense part.
You burned my house to the ground!
I am Hitler.
My family's dead! What'll I do?
Wash my belly.
Okay. So here's the funny thing about Flick. I'm Italian, I use my hands a lot, sorry. I don't condone murder. I know. I truly, no please, no cameras, autographs will be taken after the show. Thank you, really. I'm very grateful to be in the position I am. I know, very brave take, but I truly believe that murder is just wrong. The reason why Flick is a, quote, villain worth defending in my eyes is because there are a lot of motivations behind the things that he does, and also his behavior, in a sense, makes me feel a lot like he is worth defending. It makes me feel like, personally, I don't think that he is objectively an antagonist in the show, but I don't think that he is a bad person necessarily, at least not in a sense. Frankly, there are so many things with Flick and why I think that he isn't that bad of a person that I don't know where to begin, but we're just gonna freestyle it. So going back to the story that I talked about with Flippy and him having to hide into the corpse of his dead friend and yada yada yada, that's how Flick was created. The reason why I brought that up is because we need to go into why Flick exists. Every single time that Flick is triggered and comes out, it has been in a situation where Flippy's PTSD acts up. He is recalling a traumatic event from his time in the military. So, for example, I think one of the most popular episodes in the show, what's it called? Double Whammy. He continues to get triggered by things. There's an airplane ride at a carnival, and he views it as planes, warships, or I don't know what they're called, warplanes? I don't know. He views it as warplanes, and he ends up diving and then switching. Another example would be in Random Acts of Silence, where Sniffles and Nutty accidentally trigger the alarm in the library that they're in, and this alarm, of course, you know, it's a very loud alarm, it sets Flippy off. And one last example, which is honestly my favorite of his switches, is Easy for You to Slay. Slay as in, like, a Santa's sleigh, not as in, like, oh my god, slay! Anyways, Lifty and Shifty break into Flippy's house looking for valuables, and they tie him up, and this, whenever Flippy wakes up, reminds him of presumably a time where he's actually been kidnapped, because it switches to a flashback of him being tied up and having, I think he was in like a cage and in water or some form of liquid. Terrifying stuff, and he switches. The reason why I bring these things up is because every single time Flick comes out, it is to protect Flippy. Whether or not he wants to protect Flippy is debatable. There is a chance that whenever he comes out, that he really just wants to kill. However, I do think that it is, or at least there is a solid chance that he wishes to protect Flippy. Specifically because, and these opinions are contradicting, or my evidence is contradicting, because in Double Whammy and Autopsy Turvy, Flippy and Flick, like, duke it out. There's literally an army of Flippies and Flicks, and they all fight to the death. And I think it might have been a metaphor for him coming to terms with his illness, and for Flippy coming to terms with his illness, and potentially trying to control Flick better. I don't know. But in Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, I believe the episode was called, Flick is on an airplane. He's controlling, or no, it was a helicopter. He's controlling a helicopter, and he's flying it to chase after somebody, I don't remember who, and kill them. Because of course he is. And he sees a vision of Flippy, and he tears up. For some reason. It's not explained. It's never explained with Mondo Media. They don't explain it. They just leave me to my theories. And he tears up, and then Flippy takes back over, and he stops the helicopter. And it's very interesting to me. I don't understand why Flick teared up. But I truly believe he cares about Flippy. That's my belief. That's what I think. But at the same time, I feel like his motivation is both wanting to protect Flippy and also just wanting to kill. I think he is both bloodthirsty and protective. I think that his bloodthirst is kind of ingrained in him, in a sense. It's something that exists so that he can protect Flippy, because he was created to protect Flippy from the tiger people. So if I had to guess, it's a little mixture of both. The other thing is, there is a strong chance that Flick is very overwhelmed, which causes him to lash out whenever he is fronting. So let's go through the average experience of Flick whenever he fronts. Because again, whenever he fronts, he is fronting because Flippy is having a PTSD attack. And fun fact, Flick actually does not see civilians, like the people he kills, as civilians. He sees them as enemy soldiers. And this is confirmed because it was stated in the wiki, which, to be fair, it is the fandom wiki, so it could be wrong, but it was stated in the wiki that Flick and Flippy both follow a soldier's code, and that soldier's code states not to harm innocent civilians. Therefore, we can infer that Flick does not know who he's killing. He doesn't know that he's killing innocent people. But let's go through the average experience of Flick fronting, okay? He is, one, thrust into war times again, because, again, he is seeing everything as a battlefield and seeing civilians as enemy soldiers. He is thrust straight into combat the second that he fronts. And two, he's possibly overwhelmed. He doesn't quite know where he is. He doesn't quite know what's going on. He is aware of Flippy's existence because they do have this weird little headspace, or at least something that shows up in Flippy's dreams. But he could possibly be acting out of panic because he doesn't know where he is. He just sees enemy soldiers and he has to act quickly, or else he thinks he'll be killed. So that's that on that. That is largely the reason why I am Flick's #1 dick rider. Another thing is, there are exceptions to this hallucination that he has. Not only does he seem to have a soft spot for Cub, who is a child, but he also never harms Mole, and actually refrained from harming Handy in one of the episodes. Or actually, I think he's refrained from harming Handy multiple times. This soldier's code also states not to harm the defenseless, children, and the disabled. Mole is blind, Handy is an amputee. Therefore, Flick will not hurt them. I think that there is a chance that they bypass his hallucinations, especially in A Vicious Cycle, where Flick fucking dies and his soul ends up in a unicycle, or not a in a tricycle, and he ends up killing all of the adults around Cub because they're being assholes. So we can confirm that he has a soft spot for children, and we can confirm that he isn't going to hurt somebody who he sees as defenseless. So I'm pretty certain that they bypass his hallucinations. He probably just views them as they are. I think, I don't know, again, Mondo Media won't give us any information. They don't care, they want me dead. And another thing that I actually just remembered is, in Party Animal, he refrains from harming Flaky because she's having an allergic because they're having an allergic reaction. So, again, anybody who is defenseless or injured or whatever, he's not gonna hurt. And honestly, that's pretty much all I have to say about defending Flick. He, in my eyes, isn't somebody who is a villain or is just a killing machine who's sadistic and cruel and doesn't care about anybody. More so to me, he's a character who is just in a constant state of going through it. But that's that. So now it's on to the fun part.
Bingle bongle dingle dangle, yickety doo, yickety da, ping pong, lippy tappy too ta.
The funny thing about Happy Tree Friends shipping is that the characters are relatively bare bones, and so you can ship practically any character with any other character and find a way to make it work. In regards to Flippy specifically, I have seen him get shipped with Nutty, Pop, Disco Bear, Splendid, I think Lifty and Shifty, and Giggles. Giggles is another one. I think I've seen Cuddles once or twice. Oh, what's the most popular ship with Fliqpy? People like to ship Fliqpy with Flaky. Yeah.
What is the tickle tickle skin?
Glizzy.
Alright, let me get one thing clear right now. If you ship Fliqpy and Flaky, I love you. I love you, I respect your ship, I respect your opinion, and I would hope that everybody else will respect each other's opinions, and if anybody makes any comments in the comment section, you're not gonna fight each other. Please don't fight each other. That said, I have a lot of problems with Flaky and Flippy that are largely the fandom's fault, frankly. I can't say that I actually blame the dynamic or the characters themselves, but they are heavily mischaracterized and just generally messed up. At least whenever it comes to all the fan art I've seen of Flaky and Flippy. Again, I must point out that I am in no way trying to generalize all of the fans of the ship. There are plenty of people who characterize Flaky correctly and characterize Flippy correctly. I am specifically talking about people who like to portray Flaky as a defenseless, innocent, naive, almost person. Because they're not. They're literally not. They are the furthest thing from, actually. Their paranoia is something, and their anxiety is something that a lot of people in the fandom, maybe not a lot, but a solid number of people in the fandom, confuse for shyness or this timid and, again, like, naive, almost demeanor. You're forgetting that Flaky is honestly quite possibly one of the most dangerous characters simply because of their paranoia. In an episode with Flippy and Flaky, just them, I forgot what the episode's called, just Flaky and Flippy, Flaky keeps on having visions of Flippy flipping out and turning into Flick. And eventually, whenever they get into this little car crash, and Flippy takes out a Swiss Army knife I don't know what he took out, but he took out a sharp object, and he was using it to cut off Flaky's seatbelt. Flaky freaks out, takes a broken shard of glass, and jams it in Flippy's eye. Suffice it to say, Flaky can handle themselves, and I really don't agree with this general consensus that Flaky is helpless to any extent, because they're not. They could probably fight and defend themselves from pretty much anybody in the town. I mean, even Flippy. Maybe not Flippy if things really came down to it. Maybe not, definitely not Flick. But like how do I make this clearer? Flaky isn't defenseless. Flaky isn't innocent. I don't think. I feel so bad for them that they get completely mischaracterized. It's very sad. And there is picture after picture after picture of Flaky x Flippy fan art in which Flaky is portrayed as helpless and defenseless, and Flippy is like this dominant, protective, fucking imposing figure, and I don't even think Flippy would act like that. He seems like in a romantic relationship he'd just be very kind and very sweet. And Flick, don't get me started on art of Flaky and Flick. There are some very creepy connotations that I've seen with a lot of Flaky and Flick fan art. I must point out, a lot of this fan art is, again, from, like, the 2010s, so please take what I'm talking about with a grain of salt. I hope that there aren't as many of these kinds of shippers today, but you never know. And, like, fiction and reality aren't the same to a certain extent, and people can do whatever they want, yada yada, that's fine, I love it, I understand. But, like, if there's one thing I don't like, it's mischaracterization. I'm sorry, I don't like mischaracterizing characters. You can do whatever you want, But just know that I don't appreciate it. This random stranger on the internet does not appreciate your actions, okay? So you have to change for me. So if I don't think that Flippy or Flick and Flaky could be a substantial couple, specifically talking about Flick here, who do I think such a violent, unstable, insane person could go well with? Well, I can think of one person.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel a little ashamed?
Okay, so I seriously need you guys to stick with me on this one, because, to my knowledge, there is no fan art of these two characters interacting, and they don't interact that much at all in the show. But, if we can ship Flick with Splendid, I think that we can ship Mole with Flick, okay? Okay. So, as I previously mentioned, Flick will not harm people who he views as defenseless. Mole, Handy, Cub. Cub's a child, so he's out. Handy, personally, I view as Aero Ace, and even if I didn't, I really just don't think he and Flick would have a lot of chemistry. But then you might be asking, why would Mole and Flick have a ton of chemistry? Well, first of all, Flick has never harmed Mole. Not once. He has never harmed Mole. In episodes where they're together, he has literally never hurt him. You might be thinking, well, he's never hurt Handy. He actually did hurt Handy once. He took his legs. I think he did that twice, actually. And, it wasn't very nice, but whatever. Which is weird to me. Like, I guess he's not above injuring civilians, he's just above killing them. Who knows? But, second of all, I think that Mole, with how, if you've seen Happy Tree Friends and you've seen Mole in action, he is a very calm, gentle isn't the right word, but he's a very relaxed character. He's mute, he doesn't talk, and he's just very relaxing, in a sense, and I believe that he could help Flick calm down from his episodes, at least in my opinion. I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility. The third thing, if you have seen, again, the Kapow episodes, there is one called Mole in the City, and it actually reveals that Mole is a spy. He's a mole, you could say. And in this episode, he ends up killing his rival. I think he's a rival, he's a rat, so, And this proves that Mole is not entirely innocent. He is not necessarily above killing people, at least when it comes to his work. And I feel like that's kind of something that Flick and Mole could almost bond over, or at the very least understand each other on, because they both have motivations for killing that aren't just killing. With Flick it's being protective, and with Mole it's for his career. But what about Mole and Flippy? Do I think that Mole and Flippy could be a good couple? Yeah, kinda. Like I said before, Mole is one of the most chillaxed characters in the show, and I think Flippy really needs that. He himself, in episodes where he is just hanging out before he, flips out, is shown to have a very understated demeanor. He's very chill, he's very relaxed, he likes to read, he likes to just hang out in nature. The most recent episode that he was in, he was lying on a hammock and reading, and he ended up flipping out because the loud noise and gas from, or not the gas, the fumes, the smoke from Lumpy's, I think, lawnmower ended up setting him off. He doesn't like loud noises. Mole can't make any noise. Or, well, I think he can, but he doesn't. And I think Mole's very calm, very tranquil demeanor would go very well with Flippy's very calm, very tranquil demeanor. A lot of people do say opposites attract, but frankly, non-opposites can attract too. And I think, especially with everything that Flippy's been through, I just think that he needs, more than anything, somebody who is similar to him, somebody who is calm and relaxed and likes to just sit around and be quiet and be blind. I am very passionate about this ship. I ship Flick and Mole and Flippy and Mole to such an insane extent. I love them. They're my heart and soul. I wish there was fan art of them. I wish people understood the dynamic the way I do, but nobody has the big brain that I have, and it sucks. Side note, I don't know how common this is to this day, but at least back in the 2010s, there was this big phenomenon of, like, people having either theories or headcanons or what have you that Mole was, like, evil somehow, because he had no reaction to any deaths around him, and he very rarely died. I think that the theories were largely that, like, he somehow knew about things that were going on, and, like, was okay with them. I don't know. Like, somehow knew how the town functioned. I don't know how to describe it. But I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. I just don't see the vision. Like, I don't see Mole as evil. He only kills for his career, which, I mean, still kind of bad, but I don't think that he's evil in any way. Fuck it, we're doing part 2 villain defense. Mole, I don't think he's an evil guy at all. I think that the reason why he doesn't get killed very frequently is because of the fact that he's blind. I think that the writers of the show thought that it would be a funny gimmick of, like, oh, you think that the blind character's gonna die often, but he doesn't. And the fact that he causes catastrophes all around him, which cause the people around him to die, I don't think that that's an indication that he's evil either. I think it's another just joke about him being blind. I would more easily believe that Lumpy was evil than I would believe that Mole was evil. I think he's just a guy who's hanging out and doesn't really realize most of the things that are going on around him. I think he's just silly. I think he's just a silly little guy who doesn't deserve these allegations.
5 Whoppers and 5 more Whoppers. Happy
Tree Friends is a show that has been with me for a very long time. Probably since I was about 10 years old. It is a show that is it holds a very close place in my heart. It's very important to me. That's why I overanalyze and take it so seriously. To this day, I still marathon the show. It's absolute cinema. It's absolute cinema. And Fliqpy specifically has always held a very important place in my heart. As a kid, for some reason, I just latched onto him, and that never fully went away. Not sure what that's about, but whatever. I hope you all enjoyed my yapping and my silly little comeback. I have been inactive for a long time because of school, and more recently, the most terminally online shit in the world. But we're not going to get into that right now because it literally doesn't matter. But I'm back, and hopefully I will be here to stay. Hopefully. I actually do have a few ideas for videos lined up, and I do want to hear what you guys think, or if there are any other suggestions that you might have for any other videos that you might want me to make, whether they're villain defenses or anything else. But I am going to go ahead and give you my silly little ideas. So we have one about Has-Been Hotel, and specifically Angel Dust and why I hate his writing. We have a defense of Mal from Total Drama. Defense is a strong word, but a defense. We have one that's a defense for the Deadly Six from a little-known Sonic game called Sonic Lost World. And I believe that that is it for now. But, again, I hope that you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. You know the drill, you know everything that every single YouTuber says. But yeah. I cannot wait to start putting up more videos finally for you all. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. To my subscribers, thank you so much for sticking around and not unsubscribing, even though I've literally been dead in the water like a goldfish for the past 3 years. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. That yeah sounded like a bark.